So hello everyone and welcome to our very first Vida Live. We are so glad that you have joined in. My name is Kristen and I'm the Teams and Mission Engagement Coordinator for Impact Ministries. And it's just so good to see you guys here, to see your faces from all over, whether it's the afternoon or the evening. Thank you so much for just joining in with us. Vida Live really started just off with a question on how do we best share with everyone some of the things that God is doing in Guatemala in an interactive way, in an informal way, and on a regular basis. And really from that question, we started dreaming of what would it look like to use a platform like Zoom and all connect live together from wherever we're watching from all across the world. And that's kind of really what came together to be Vida Live. And we are going to be doing this monthly. Every month, we're going to be highlighting a different area of the ministry. Every month, there's going to be a different guest coming in. So that's really exciting. And we really, again, just want to share what God's doing in all of the various different areas of the ministry. So today, we are very excited to be joined by Les, who many of you know, who's our founder and the field worker for Impact Ministry, field director. And we are also joined by our special guest, Juan Carlos, who is one of our school directors. And that's what we would know here as our school principals. And Juan Carlos works in Mocohán School. So I'm going to just hand it right over to Les, and he's going to introduce Juan Carlos, and we'll begin.
Well, hello, everybody. It's just a joy to see your faces and connect with you in this way. And Juan Carlos, when we talked about doing this for the very first time, the staff in Canada was saying, well, who should we invite in first? And I said, Juan Carlos is the guy. He's the guy. I love translating for Juan Carlos. And Juan Carlos is, as was already mentioned, the principal of our Mocohán School. And we were planning on broadcasting from Mocohán today, but there's a roadblock and some problems getting between here and Mocohán. So we're actually on our Chia Coral site in Tactique today. And so I'm just gonna ask Juan a few questions and I'll be translating over top of his Spanish. So I hope it comes through okay. Hermano Juan, ¿por cuántos años ya está trabajando en el ministerio? ¿Cómo fue que usted entró al ministerio? How many years have you been working for the ministry and how did you come into the ministry?
Buenas tardes a todos.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Es maravilloso conectarnos a través de este medio.
It's really marvelous to be able to connect through this medium.
Y sobre la pregunta es...
And answering the question.
Son 19 años que he sido parte de Ministerios Impacto.
It's 19 years since I've been a part of Impact Ministries.
Es más de la mitad de mi vida.
It's more than half of my life.
Y yo vine acá al colegio.
I came into one of the schools.
Tal vez podría decir de que...
And maybe I can say it in this way.
De que contra mi voluntad.
Against my will.
Como que me hubieran obligado a ser parte del colegio.
I was almost obligated to become a part of one of the schools.
Y era porque mi mamá me dijo, bueno, ahora vas a estudiar en este colegio.
And it was because my mother said, okay, now you're going to start studying in this school.
En ese tiempo yo tenía 12 años.
And at that time, I was 12 years of age.
Y yo pensé que era la peor decisión que mi mamá había tomado por mí.
And I thought it was the worst decision that my mother had ever made for me.
Y como era un adolescente, pues...
I was an adolescent, and so...
Yo quería estudiar, no me quedaba otra opción.
I wanted to study, and I didn't have another option.
Pero ahora yo puedo decir...
But now I can say...
De que fue la mejor decisión que mi mamá tomó por mí.
I can say it was the best decision my mother ever made.
Y estoy seguro que Dios la usó a ella.
And I know for sure that God used her.
Ahora yo puedo decir de que gracias a lo que mi mamá hizo hace 19 años.
And I can say thank you after what my mom did 19 years ago.
Yo conocí al Señor
I came to
realmente
know the Lord in
a
a real
través
way
de los colegios.
through the schools.
Y me enamoré del lugar.
And I just fell in love with this
Y por
place.
esa razón yo sigo estando acá.
And for that reason, I continue.
Ahora yo solo me río del pasado.
I just laugh now about the past.
Yo estaba muy enojado de estudiar, de ser parte del colegio.
At that point in time, I was quite angry and upset that I had to become a part of the school.
Pero ahora yo estoy contento y estoy alegre.
But now I'm happy and really joyful for that decision. ¿Está casado? ¿Tiene hijos? ¿Qué es la situación?
Puedo decirle que también el Señor usó el ministerio para conocer a mi esposa.
The Lord used me, used the ministry,
Yeah.
and through the ministry, I got to know my wife.
Y ahorita tengo yo 7 años y 4 meses de haberme casado.
And I've now been married for 7 years and 4 months.
Tengo 2 niños,
I have 2 children,
uno de 5 años
one that's 5,
y el otro apenas de 9 meses.
and one is just 9 months old.
Y es maravilloso tener a mi familia.
It's marvelous having my family,
Y Dios ha sido bueno con nosotros.
and God has been good with us. ¿Puede explicar un poco de la vida de los alumnos en Mocohán? ¿Cuántos alumnos hay? ¿Cuántos personal hay? ¿Y qué está haciendo el Señor? Can you tell us just a little bit about how many teachers there are in Mocohán and how many students and what the Lord is doing in their lives?
Yo llegué al colegio de Mocohán hace 4 años.
I went to work in the Mocohán School 4 years ago.
Y lo que yo me he dado cuenta
And what I realized
de lo que pasa allá en esta comunidad
was what was happening in that community.
es de que la mayoría de nuestros niños, hablando de un 75%,
About 65% of our children, the majority of our children,
vienen de hogares desintegrados.
come from broken homes.
Y a veces
And sometimes
sucede de que
what happens is
entre nuestros mismos alumnos
among the children of our school,
hay medios hermanos.
our half brothers and sisters,
Porque resulta que el papá se fue a vivir con la vecina
because the father went and decided to live with the neighbor.
y eso ha lastimado mucho el corazón de nuestros niños.
And this has really hurt the hearts of many of our children.
En la primaria
In,
y preprimaria
in elementary school and the primary grades of elementary school,
tenemos 226 niños este año.
we have 226 children this year.
Yo le doy gracias a Dios porque pensé de que por la pandemia
I
ese número iba a bajar bastante.
I give thanks to the Lord because we thought because of the epidemic that this number would go down a lot.
Pero me sorprendió porque aumentamos 20 alumnos más que el año pasado.
But I was surprised. Our numbers actually went up by 20 more than last year.
Y yo platicando con el director del nivel básico siempre de Mocohán,
And then we
ellos
also have a
tienen-
junior high
tienen
school.
más de 60 alumnos de básico.
And so in our junior high, we have more than 60 students.
Entonces somos casi los 300.
So we're almost 300 students in the school.
Y es maravilloso ser parte de Mocohán.
And it's really marvelous to be a part of Mocohán.
Y yo puedo decir de que los niños,
And I can tell you, the children,
cuando uno les habla acerca del amor de Dios,
when one starts talking to them about the love of God,
ellos son como una esponja
they're just like a sponge
porque absorben
because they absorb
lo que uno les dice.
what one says.
Y debido a la situación que estamos viviendo por la pandemia, algo que a mí me ha hecho falta son los devocionales.
And something that, because of the epidemic, that I really have missed are the
Y yo
devotionals
creo
in the
que,
school.
algunos de nuestros hermanos que nos están viendo
And some of you, brothers
han
and sisters who
han
are
participado en
watching,
los devocionales de los colegios.
you've participated in the morning devotionals in the schools.
Y esa parte era mi favorita
And this is my favorite part
porque el Señor llenaba mi corazón.
because the Lord fills my heart during that time.
Porque los niños cantaban con todo su
The
corazón.
children, they just sing with their whole heart.
Unos lloraban,
Some are crying.
a otros se les marcaban las venas en el cuello.
Some of them are singing so loud that they're so hard that their veins are sticking out in their necks.
Y ver la actitud de estos niños
And seeing the attitude of these children,
quebrantaba mi corazón
it's broken my heart.
y me hacía enamorarme más del ministerio.
And it just makes me fall more in love with the ministry.
Y yo puedo decir de que así como fue para mí
And that's
el
how,
ministerio,
the way it was for me, the ministry,
para mí es un refugio este lugar.
this place is a refuge.
Y yo puedo decir de que muchos niños piensan de la misma manera.
And I can tell you that many of the children think the same way.
Y yo tengo amigos que no forman parte del ministerio
I have friends who aren't a part of the ministry.
y me han dicho,
They have said to me,
¿por qué no buscas otro lugar donde te paguen más?
why
para
don't you
trabajar?"
go and work someplace else where they pay you more? No,
Yeah.
please don't go.
Ya estuviste muchos años ahí,
You've already been there many
porque
years.
como maestro tengo este es mi año número 10
This is my 10th year working as a teacher.
y yo siempre he respondido
And I've always responded,
de que esta es mi casa
this is my home.
y yo estoy feliz estando en este lugar
I'm happy being in this place.
y todavía no ha llegado ese tiempo
And that time hasn't come.
porque es un refugio
Because this is a refuge.
y yo siento que muchos de nuestros niños
And I believe that many of our children
toman los colegios Vida
have the Vida schools
como para refugiarse
as a place of refuge
del ambiente que hay en sus
from
hogares.
the ambience that is in their homes.
Porque el ambiente de los hogares
Because the ambience in their homes
tristemente no es bueno.
is really not very good many times.
Hay desintegración familiar.
There's broken families.
Eso hace que las mamás estén enojadas siempre con sus hijos.
And this means that the mothers are often angry always with their children.
Lo normal en los hogares es de que
And the normal thing in the homes
los niños
is
están escuchando, tú no serves para nada,
that the children hear things like, you're useless.
tú eres un estorbo.
You're a bother.
Y eso ha lastimado el corazón
And
de
this
los niños.
hurts the hearts of the children.
Pero cuando los maestros les dicen a estos niños que han sido lastimados,
But when the teachers see these children who
Que-
are wounded in their hearts,
que Dios tiene buenos planes para
and
ellos,
they tell them, God has good plans for you.
a veces no lo creen.
Sometimes they don't believe it,
Pero hemos estado orando por
but
ellos.
we continue praying for them.
Porque al principio uno les pregunta qué quieren ser cuando sean grandes.
And sometimes when they come in, we ask them, what do you want to be when you're big?
No saben responder.
They don't know how to answer.
Pero en el transcurso del tiempo que ellos están en el
But
colegio,
as time goes by and they're in the school,
muchos ya sueñan.
they start having
Porque
dreams
creen de que Dios los puede usar.
because they believe that God can use them. ¿En qué manera ha afectado? No tenemos tanto
Ujú.
tiempo, pero ¿qué manera ha afectado la COVID en la enseñanza de los niños y cómo está llegando la evangelio a los casas? Just asking, how has COVID affected your teaching, and how has it affected the way that the gospel is going into the homes?
Uno de mis temores durante la pandemia era,
One of my fears during the epidemic,
¿qué pasa si alguno de mis maestros o yo nos contraemos el COVID?
what happens if I or some of my teachers get
Pero-
COVID?
O yo le puedo darle la gloria y honra al Señor,
And I can give the glory and the honor to the Lord.
porque ninguno de nuestros maestros
Not one of our teachers
se ha contagiado de COVID.
has had COVID.
Y de que la manera en la que ha afectado
And the way it's affected us,
a nuestros niños
our children,
es de que allá en la comunidad
in the communities,
por la pobreza en la que viven nuestros niños
because of the poverty that the children live in,
y ahora no hay un trabajo formal para muchos padres de familia.
and so there's no work for many of the parents, or formal work for many of the parents in the family.
Entonces muchos niños
So many children,
cuando tienen tiempo libre,
when they have free time,
ellos salen a trabajar
they go out to work
como a cortar leña,
to cut firewood,
como a cortar vegetales,
to harvest vegetables.
y tal vez lo que les pagan a ellos, tal vez si hablamos en dólares canadienses, tal vez son $2 por una jornada de trabajo.
So for 8 hours of work, they might, if we're talking Canadian dollars, maybe get $2 for 8 hours of work.
Pero lo emocionante es
But the
de
emotional, the thing that really makes me happy
que durante el año pasado y
during last year and this year,
Dios nos ha sorprendido mucho,
God has really surprised us a lot
porque nosotros hemos aprovechado
because we've taken advantage of the situation.
las donaciones que hemos recibido de alimentos
All the donations we've received for food,
y siempre nuestros 226 niños han recibido una bolsa.
and our 225 children, they have received bags, regular bags of food.
Entonces nosotros con los maestros tomamos un tiempo
So we as the teachers, we take a time
para organizarnos
To
e ir a
organize,
visitar las casas.
and we visit the homes.
A veces tenemos que caminar bastante,
Sometimes we have to walk a
pero
lot,
es maravilloso.
but it's marvelous.
Y cuando estamos visitando cada casa,
And when we're visiting every home,
tomamos un tiempo para animar a las
we
familias,
take time to
para
encourage
orar
the
por
families,
ellos, para
and to pray for
cantar
them, to sing,
y para decirles
and to say to them,
que Dios les ama.
God loves you.
Y un testimonio que me impactó mucho
And one testimony that touched me a lot.
fue de que nuestro niño de 7 años contrajo COVID.
One of our children, who was 7 years old, he got COVID.
Y toda su familia se enfermó.
And the whole family got sick.
Y esta señora me decía
And this mother said,
de que el centro de salud de la comunidad
in the center of health in the community,
estaban vigilando para que ellos no salieran de casa. Ellos tenían que tener cuarentena.
they were being watched and they were not allowed to leave the house under quarantine.
Y el problema era
And the problem was
que ellos no tenían nada que comer.
they had nothing to eat.
Pero a mí me gustó la actitud de este niño.
But I like the attitude of
Al
this
ver a su
child.
mamá llorando, triste,
Seeing his mother crying and sad.
este niño le dijo,
This child said,
él es Cristian,
his name is Christian.
y le dijo,
He said,
no te preocupes,
don't worry,
oremos,
we're going to pray
y Dios va a proveer.
and God will provide.
Y como Dios es perfecto,
And because God is perfect,
esa misma mañana de parte de la oficina de patrocinios me llamaron
and that same morning, the sponsorship office here called
para que yo pudiera llevarles una caja de víveres a esta familia.
if I could take a box of vegetables and groceries to this family.
Y recuerdo bien que me preguntaron, ¿te animas a ir a la casa sabiendo que están enfermos?
And the sponsorship office said, are you okay with going to this family even though they're sick?
Pues yo con un poco de temor dije, sí, yo
With a
quiero.
little bit of fear, I said, yes, I'm going.
Y me mandaron la caja.
And so they sent me the box of groceries.
Entonces yo solo toqué la puerta.
I just knocked on the door.
Y solo de lejos saludé a la señora.
And then I greeted the mother from a distance.
Y ella recogió la caja.
And she received the box.
Y al momento yo recibí un mensaje de ella.
And I received a message from her.
En donde me decía
And she said to me,
que era la respuesta a una oración que ellos habían tenido en la mañana.
oh, después usted
Sí,
recibió.
después de eso.
Okay, later I received a message from her saying this was an answer to the prayer that they had prayed that morning.
Escuchar esos testimonios aumenta mi fe.
And listening to these testimonies, it just lifts my faith.
Y lo maravilloso de todo esto es
And the marvelous about all of this is
de que Dios los usa a ustedes, hermanos,
God is using you, brothers and sisters,
sin conocernos,
without knowing us,
sin conocer a las personas que son parte de Mocohán.
without knowing the people who are part of
Pero
Mocohán.
ustedes están dispuestos a decir, yo quiero ayudar.
But you are out there saying, I want to help.
Y estamos sorprendidos de cómo Dios nos ama tanto.
And
acá en
we are so
Guatemala.
surprised how much God loves us.
Entonces yo puedo decirle que este tiempo de pandemia
And this time of the pandemic,
ha servido para animar a las
it
familias.
has it's been a time where we could encourage the family.
Y esta familia que había estado orando por víveres,
And this family that was praying for
no son
food,
cristianos.
they're not Christians.
Y hace como 2 meses empezaron a asistir a la iglesia
And
Río
about
de Vida
2 months ago,
de Mocohán.
they started attending our Rio de Vida church in Mocohán. Wow. And something that we're out of time, but something that Juan Carlos hasn't shared much about is the academic side. And you know, one of the things that I love about our schools is our teacher. You're hearing the heart of our teachers and our principals in Juan Carlos. And the first concern is for their soul and for their heart and for their needs. And then come the academic concerns and our kids, they're taking out all these packages to the kids and those who do have access through one of the internet systems, but in his community, very, very unusual. But they're taking out all these study packages and then receiving those completed, and the kids' studies are continuing. Kristen, I think we're out of time. Maybe you have some more questions that are already lined up for us, and we want to just be very sensitive of everybody's time here today. We'll probably stick around as long as any of you stick around, but we want to follow the schedule. So Kristen, I'll just hand it back to you. Thank you, Juan Carlos. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's so encouraging to hear, even this past year that's been filled with difficulties and changes and everything, just how God is using the teachers and the principals so powerfully to go and reach the homes of all the kids and to deliver the food. And I know there's been a lot of remote learning too. So I think I can say on behalf of all of us, thank you to you, Juan Carlos, for everything that you do daily, I know. So we just want to say thank you. And we're going to open it up now. If anyone has any questions that you guys are free to ask Les or to ask Juan Carlos, there's one way you can do that is through the chat, which is going to be on the bottom of your screens, where you can just type a question and I can read that out loud for Les or Juan Carlos. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to write it in there. And Les, maybe just one thing. I know we got a question in through our email, just about sponsorship and kids who need sponsorship at Mocohán. Are there any kids? Are all the kids who attend Mocohán currently sponsored?
Ella está preguntando cuántos alumnos en Mocohán no tienen patrocinador. How many children in Mocohán don't have a sponsor?
Estoy agradecido con Dios porque
I'm really grateful to the Lord because
ayer me llamaron de la oficina de patrocinio.
Yesterday they phoned me from the sponsorship
contándome
office,
de que había una niña
that there was a little girl
que tenía un nuevo patrocinador
that had a new sponsor.
Y yo decía, gracias a Dios.
And I said, thank you to the Lord.
Entonces yo decía, ahora faltan 9 niños.
So now there are only 9 children.
Y hoy de nuevo me volvieron a llamar de parte de la oficina de patrocinio.
And then they called me again.
Y me dijeron que otro niño más tiene.
Another child was sponsored.
Ahora pues,
And now,
8 niños faltan.
Only 8 children.
Y estoy seguro que mañana me van a volver a llamar para contarme.
And I'm quite sure that tomorrow they're going to call me again. Another one. In the ministry, I just spoke with Ruth just a few moments before this live presentation began. And she said in the whole ministry, 124 children that are still looking for sponsors. And we began our school year with over 1,700 children. And so, so the percentage is pretty high, and of course we can do the most once all the children are sponsored. Good question. Anything else? Anybody? Yes. Don't be shy.
So we have a question from Rick, and he's wondering, is the country open despite COVID?
The country is open, yes. People are traveling back and forth now. People coming from the United States and Canada, of course, there's some precautions that are being taken and testing that's being done, but the country is open, yes.
Awesome. We have another question here. Which academics are emphasized in junior high?
I'll ask Juan Carlos that in básico, ¿qué temas académicos son los más importantes?
Debido a que no todos nuestros alumnos tienen estas plataformas para conectarse para clases virtuales.
Ellos están preguntando solo en general.
Es matemática,
mathematics,
lenguaje,
language, Spanish language,
ciencias naturales,
natural sciences,
y sociales,
and social studies are the most important academic subjects. By the way, if you're hearing some banging in the background, they're constructing, there's construction happening right next to us here on the Chiacaral campus. So apologize for the noise.
Awesome, great question. So another question came in here. How is enrollment in the discipleship program coming? So the 12-month discipleship.
Okay, I don't have data from this last week. But I believe we have about 5 or 6 students who have registered. And Ruth and Julie, if you're listening, maybe you could jump in and give an answer to that. I know there's a number that have applied. I don't know exactly how many have officially been approved yet. But we're looking at starting that program in January, and it's a very exciting program. The Chicoy property is the property that is going to be utilized for this particular program, and it's a new initiative of the ministry in the middle of all COVID. It's probably, you know, just thinking logistically, if it's a good time to start a new program. No, probably not really, but we really feel this is the time the Lord has for us, and we're excited about it. It's going to touch the lives of North Americans in this 3-month discipleship program.
Awesome. Another question here. How do you handle the healthcare needs of the children? Is there a clinic attached to the school?
Okay. Yes, there is. We have a clinic here, and Dr. Chris Brandenburg from the United States is giving a lot of leadership right now. He's just taken over a new position of being the medical, Sandra, you'll have to help me with the official title, medical director, promotions. I don't know what the official title is.
He's the medical engagement coordinator.
There you go. See, I knew the staff in Canada would have the proper name. And what he's doing is he's raising funds. We have restarted the clinic. The clinic in the height of the COVID situation was closed. And so now it's open again, and we have 2 full-time nurses on staff there. We're looking for funding to have a doctor, a Guatemalan doctor on staff. And then we're hoping to also have North American teams come in for 1 week at least every month. And Tim, that's making noise. And so the clinic really is a blessing. We just received a whole bunch of vitamins via the clinic program as well. And our first medical team is going to be here next week from the United States.
Awesome. So another question that came in was for Juan Carlos. And Juan Carlos, did you always want to work as the school director or as a school director or in schools?
Esa fue una de sus sueños, de ser director de un colegio.
Bueno, es una buena pregunta.
It's a good question.
Recuerdo cuando yo entré al colegio.
Remember when I entered the school?
Mi sueño no era ser maestro.
My dream was not to be a teacher.
Yo quería manejar camiones.
I wanted to be a truck driver.
Eso era lo que yo siempre quise.
That's what I always wanted to do.
Pero conforme el tiempo, Dios fue cambiando mi mente.
But with time, the Lord changed my mind.
Y recuerdo de que cuando yo ya tenía que estudiar una carrera,
and when I had to make a choice to choose a career,
pues yo solo le decía, Señor, yo quiero servirte.
And I just said, Lord, I just want to serve you.
Y yo quiero que pongas en mi corazón qué es lo que yo
and
voy a
I want
estudiar.
you to put it in my heart what I should be studying.
Se me dio la oportunidad de estudiar para maestro.
And so I had an opportunity to study to become
El año que
teacher.
el año que me gradué,
And the year that I graduated,
yo tenía fe en mi corazón
I had faith in my heart
que iba a trabajar en uno de los colegios.
that I would be working in one of the
Pero
schools.
yo solo estaba esperando que me llamaran.
But I was waiting for them to call me.
Recuerdo que un mes antes que empezaran las clases,
And 1 month before the classes started,
la hermana Rita me dijo,
Sister Rita, that's my wife,
Juan Carlos,
she said, Juan Carlos,
tú no me has traído ningún papel para ponerte en uno de los colegios.
you haven't come and brought me your application
En ese
to get
tiempo solo había 3
yourself
colegios.
registered in the school. And at that time, there were only 3 schools in the ministry.
Entonces, yo tenía mucha fe porque solo me llamaron también.
And I had a lot of faith that because they called me.
Y creo de que lo que siempre me enseñaron a mí aquí en el ministerio
And what they always taught me here in the ministry was
es de que Dios siempre quiere levantarnos,
that God wants to lift you up.
no solo a los maestros, sino
Not
que
just
a
the
nuestros
teachers,
niños.
but our
Y
children.
esa es nuestra visión,
And that's our
levantar,
vision,
formar líderes.
to
que impacten.
raise up leaders that will impact.
Entonces yo siempre tuve ese pensamiento
So I always had this thought
de que Dios siempre quería llevarme a algo más grande siempre.
that God always wanted to take me to a higher place.
Y cuando me dieron la oportunidad de ser director de uno de los colegios,
And when they gave me the opportunity to be the principal of one of the schools,
pues yo dije,
I said,
sí se cumple la visión que tiene el ministerio,
the ministry is fulfilling its vision,
formar líderes.
making leaders.
Y ahora yo le digo a mis niños,
And now I say to my students,
algún día ustedes van a estar en vez de mí acá en
someday you're going to be here
y muchos niños
as a
también
principal instead
ya
of me.
tienen en su corazón de que quieren ser directores de los colegios.
And so many of the children now, they have it in their heart that they want to become a principal of a
Entonces,
school someday.
Pero yo pienso que va mucho con la visión,
But it goes with the vision.
porque eso es lo que enseñamos a nuestros niños,
That's what we teach our children,
que son líderes,
that they're leaders,
pero líderes que amen al Señor.
but leaders who love the Lord, and they're believing that.
That's awesome. We'll end with this question, and this is from James. Juan Carlos, what do you miss most about teams not coming down this past year? It's a great question, James.
aquí este año. Es James que está preguntando, ¿qué es que hace falta cuando no hay grupos?
Bueno, ya es un año y medio de no
It's now been
tener hermanos.
a year and a half not having brothers and sisters from North America visiting us.
Y en lo personal yo puedo decir
In the personal, I can say
de que hacen falta,
we really miss them.
porque aunque no lo crean, vienen a impactar la vida de muchos niños.
But maybe they don't realize, but they impact many lives.
El año pasado recuerdo que en febrero llegó el último grupo a visitarnos a Mocohán.
Last year, in February, was the last group that came to
Y no se
visit
me
us
olvidan las
in
palabras
Mocohán.
de que una mamá me dijo.
And one mother said to me, una mamá de los
Una mamá
alumnos.
me contó.
Okay, one of the mothers of my students said to me
Su niño de 5 años,
that her child of 5 years of age.
al ver a uno de los hermanos, llegaron a su casa a visitarlo una tarde.
Okay, the team came to her house one afternoon to visit them in their home.
Y este niño dijo,
And
vino Jesús a mi casa.
And this, oh boy, this 5-year-old child said Jesus came to visit us in our house.
Entonces yo dije,
And so I said,
es el Señor a través de los grupos.
it's the Lord working through the groups.
Y este niño en su inocencia
And this child in their innocence,
podía ver cuánto amor reflejan ustedes cuando vienen a visitarnos.
how much love you reflect to them when you come to visit.
Y yo siempre he dicho,
And I've always said,
¿cómo es posible de que nos amen personas
how is it
que no nos conocen?
that these team members can love people that they don't know?
Que tal vez solo han escuchado de nosotros, pero no nos conocen.
They just heard about us and they don't know us.
Yo puedo decir,
But I can say,
ustedes representan al Señor.
you represent the Lord.
Y son de bendición para el personal,
And teams are
para
a
nuestros
blessing
niños y
for our
sus papás.
staff, and for our children, and for their parents.
Entonces sí, los extrañamos bastante.
And so we miss you a lot, brothers and sisters.
Awesome. Yeah, well, we're excited for teams to start going back down. We're hopeful for early 2022. So we would love to have as many of you guys come down as we can. And I want to say too, because I know Juan Carlos mentioned this, but Rita, I saw you join, that Rita's on here. So Rita, thank you for just getting Juan Carlos in this and for encouraging him to be in the schools. I know he's a huge blessing there. And Rita, it's so good to see you as well on here. I know I said that was the last question, but this is a really good question too. So we'll end with this one. Les, do you want to just explain if the children are attending in person or what's going on with the children in school right now with the COVID restrictions?
Sure. The COVID restrictions in this country initially started really quite strong and quite heavy. We were under curfews and there were whole weekends that we weren't allowed to leave our homes. And then that was relaxed. After 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you had to be in your home until 5 or 6 in the morning. And initially the restrictions were really heavy. All the businesses were shut down and nobody really knew what we were dealing with in the early stages, but there was a lot of fear. And slowly, the restrictions have been lifted. And here in Guatemala, in all of Latin America, I think in any part of the developing world, there's kind of 2 levels of operation, what the law says and what the people actually do. And so many of the laws are in place, distancing and wearing masks and those kinds of things. But if you go into an outlying village in the mountains, you would not know any difference between now and pre-COVID. Here in Tactique, yes. And I would say that the area that has been under the closest scrutiny by the government of everything that's going on have been the schools. And so if a certain number of cases are registered in a municipality, we use a system of red, orange, yellow, green. And if we're in orange or red, amarillo también. Okay, yeah, if you're in yellow, then schools are closed. So schools have been closed. And initially they were saying the teachers were not even allowed to take packages of study materials to the students' homes, and the students were not allowed to be invited to the schools. But then because food was being delivered, we said, well, are the teachers allowed to deliver food? And the Ministry of Health said, yes, we could deliver food to the homes. So we had the teachers prepare their packages and take packages of food and a package of study materials. And that's how a lot of the studying has been going on. So therefore, regular food drop-offs and this exchange of packaged information is how it's been happening. So we have had very little actual class time. The teachers have been very busy. La más lejos de su colegio, ¿cuántos tiempo para caminar al alumno más lejos?
Casualmente la semana pasada fui a visitar con unos maestros esta casa.
So I was just asking him, so when you're visiting the homes, what's the home that is the farthest away? And he said this last week.
Para regresar es fácil porque es bajadas como una montaña.
Yeah, so coming back is really easy because it's down a mountain.
Los niños para llegar al colegio tienen que caminar tal vez solo como 25 minutos.
The children, they only walk about 25 minutes.
Para regresar a casa es más cansado por la subida.
But to go back to their home is harder because you have to go up.
Nosotros con los maestros nos hicimos 48 minutos.
And for us as the teachers, 48 minutes to get there.
Sí, más lejano.
And if I was along, it would be over an hour. Sí, yo fui con ustedes más de una hora. So I don't know if that answers your question. I hope that helps.
Yeah, for sure. And I know I've heard it. Oh, go ahead, Les.
I was just going to say one thing. We had a principal 2 weeks ago say to us, our classrooms are empty, but the homes are full. And those who do have ability to connect via WhatsApp, a lot of people have WhatsApp here, and cell phone service is inexpensive in this country, but in Juan Carlos community, they're so poor that they don't have access to that. But we've had spiritual retreats and teaching sessions where there's not just the student in front of the camera, the whole family is there. And some of the spiritual retreats that have happened have been just amazing. We've had 100 people connected in a school of just over 100 students, but it's not 100 people, it's 100 families. And so the homes are full and grandmas are there listening to the spiritual retreat and crying and praying. And so the message of the gospel is going out. It's really wonderful.
So awesome. And I was going to say that same thing, that I love kind of that phrase that we're hearing is the schools may be empty, but the homes are filled. And how incredible is that just the gospel is being spread throughout all of these families. So thank you so much, Les and Juan Carlos, and we will all continue to be praying for you guys. And we are just so encouraged by what you guys are doing in Guatemala, and Rita, you as well. And we're just so grateful, and it's very cool to just see all of you guys. I know there's so many from Canada, coast to coast, from the States, from all around. So we are just so glad that you have joined us. This was our very first VidaLive. Our plan is to do this monthly, probably the last week of every month, and it'll change based on what area that we are working with. So the next one is going to be the children's home. So we'll get to probably talk to one of the nannies there. We'll get to hear what's going on in the children's home, and that's going to be on August 25th. So we do have the date set for that. So August 25th, we're going to hear about the children's home, and we hope that you'll all come back and join us, because again, it's so great to see your faces and just to hear where you're from. And we're so grateful for you guys and for the support that you guys have given over the years. And so thank you again, everyone, for coming to our very first VidaLive.